Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Well, today is going to be a little bit different of a video. Wanted to actually do this video for you guys at this time while I'm actually not feeling very good, because I wanted to actually do this while I'm still have all this fresh in my mind.
Before we get started with what Kevin's going to share, I do want to thank a lot of you for praying for Kevin's dad. Sunday, when our newsletter came out, we shared that Kevin's dad had been in the hospital. He was having some health issues. He actually had COVID and was having some complications with his kidneys. He has kidney disease, and so we asked for prayer for that. Afterward, Kevin's mom also came down with COVID, so the two of them have been fighting hard. Kevin's dad was released from the hospital yesterday. His mom is doing okay at home, and both of them are on their road to recovery. So thank you all for praying for them, those of you who have signed up for our newsletter. But today we wanted to also share with you that Kevin's been having some health issues too, and we wanted you all to kind of hear from him about what's going on.
So about 6 or 7 days ago, I started to have some joint pain. I don't really talk a lot about it on our channel, but I do have arthritis. I have psoriasis, and because of that, I also have psoriatic arthritis, which flares up usually a few times a year and it can be quite painful, but I usually can work through it. And to be honest, usually the more I work or the more active I stay, the better it gets. It just feels better if I'm actively working all of the time, which in this lifestyle seems to not be a problem.
You guys have often seen and wondered why Kevin wears gloves. Kevin's very sensitive to chemicals, and a lot of times his exposure to chemicals through his hands will give him a psoriasis flare-up, which will then move into his joints and cause him quite a bit of pain. So in a nutshell, that's why you see him in gloves a lot, and that is what he was thinking was happening just a short time ago when this all started.
So again, about 6 days ago, I started to have some joint pain. Didn't really think a whole lot about it. It was in the normal kind of areas. My ankles and my hands and my knees were hurting. But I just kind of kept going on with life as normal, not thinking much of it. This went on for about 3 or 4 days, I think, where, I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be really pretty sore, but I'd be able to still work through the day and not have it affect me too bad. In fact, I shot the video that you guys saw a few days ago where I built the beginning of the pool area for the ducklings. That I was having some problems when I was filming that video, but again, didn't really think a whole lot of it. Well, a couple days after that, it just started to get worse and worse. And then on top of the joint pain, I was also just getting so tired, which I'm not a napper. I've never been a napper. I'm not the kind of person to rest during the middle of the day, but I was laying down for 3 or 4 hours in the middle of the day, could barely get out of bed. Finally, on Sunday morning, it was getting pretty bad, but I said to Sarah, I'm still going to come to church. I think if I can just get out of the house and kind of take my mind off things, maybe it'll be better. So I went to church. We came back home Sunday afternoon, and by Sunday afternoon, I was just in so much pain.
Even your skin hurt.
Even my skin hurt. I couldn't. You guys never see me without a hat on, but I could barely even wear a hat because my hair hurt, my skin hurt, even just my shirt rubbing on my stomach hurt. But it was Sunday evening by this point, and there was no, we live pretty far away from the nearest hospital, so I said, you know what, we're going to wait till Monday morning. There's no urgent cares in this area that are open after hours, so I said, we're going to wait till Monday morning and go to the doctor. Well, by Monday morning, it was really bad. I could barely get out of bed. I called the doctor as soon as they opened on Monday morning, and we got right in. At first, when we got in there, I told the doctor about both my parents having COVID, and he said, well, I think you probably have COVID as well. It's just an atypical form. It doesn't have all the symptoms of normal COVID. I told him I didn't think that was true. In fact, I had already taken a COVID test at home after both my parents got it just to make sure. But
Twice, actually. Two different ones.
But he still wanted to give me another COVID test in the doctor's office. So I said, fine, let's rule that out. That came back negative as well. After talking a little bit more, he started to ask more about my symptoms and asked me if I had any tick bites recently. And I did about a week or so ago, maybe 10 days, about 10 days ago. I had a tick on my side, and normally ticks aren't that big of a deal here in Missouri, at least
Well, they're just common. It's, they're not a big deal because they're everywhere and they're constant and they're all the time. If you're working outside, especially if in our area, it's common daily to have ticks on you.
Right.
So it's not a big deal just because it's so common.
Right. And so normally we just, every night we check ourselves for ticks and we pick them off and move on with life. But apparently, one of the ticks that was on me had a disease that it transmitted to me called, what they think is ehrlichiosis, or sometimes called tick fever. And then that is what is going on with me. So they put me on doxycycline, which is a strong antibiotic. But you guys, by yesterday afternoon, I was in so much pain. I've never, ever in my life felt the amount of pain that I was in by yesterday afternoon. Even just laying down hurt, standing up hurt. Every joint, every square inch of my skin, everything in my body was just painful. Luckily, the doctor recognized the signs pretty quickly. Once he ruled out the COVID and he knew pretty much what was going on, he knew that this was going to be what it was. Now, it was too early to do a test to know whether or not it was going to be Lyme disease, ehrlichiosis, anaplasmosis, or some other tick-borne illness.
Tularemia,
which is sometimes called rabbit fever.
Those are all things that are transmitted by ticks in this area.
Right. But ehrlichiosis is by far the most common here in our area. But luckily, the treatment for all of those tick-borne diseases is exactly the same. It's a round of doxycycline, which again is a strong antibiotic. A lot of times it's given for malaria. It's given for some really pretty nasty, bacterial infections. So I started taking those antibiotics yesterday morning. By today, I'm feeling quite a bit better. I don't feel like I'm, my joints feel quite a bit better, let me put it that way. I still am having some issues. I feel like my eyesight isn't quite normal. I feel like maybe I'm not thinking quite as clearly as I do sometimes. And I'm just real slow moving, a little dizzy yet. Some of that could be just from the antibiotics themselves, but at least most of the pain has gone away as of today.
Kevin was able to help with a little bit of the chores today. He went out and made sure that the quail were okay. He opened up the greenhouse for me because that's one thing I'm not able to do by myself. And after that, guys, he was pretty tuckered out and came back in and laid down and rested.
Pretty much been in bed all day.
Yeah. So it's very possible that it's going to be, kind of a slow recovery as far as what we would consider a slow recovery.
Right.
The doctor let us know that even if thinks he's feeling better, to take it easy.
Probably a couple weeks.
Yeah, and our doctor also farms, so he knows what it's like, and he warned Kevin to not try to get back on his feet too quickly and tire himself out. So,
right. Ehrlichiosis, if it's not treated fairly quickly, can be pretty dangerous. It can be fatal if it's not caught early, although that's normally more in people that already have some immune problems. But it's a pretty nasty thing, and it's something that, to be honest, I got pretty cocky about with the ticks. When we first moved here, we were, like a lot of people, kind of freaked out about the ticks, and we took a lot of precautions. We thought, we needed to be really safe from the ticks, but the longer we've been here in the Ozarks, the more ticks are just a normal part of life, and we've gotten kind of arrogant, thinking, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. You don't really hear about many people getting sick from ticks, and there's so many of them around. If it was common, it would, you'd hear about a lot of people getting sick.
We really have been paying more attention to the chiggers, because the chiggers they're so painful,
right?
And they're so itchy. And normally over the last few years, we have been using a spray, Sawyer's spray. It's this insect repellent. It's permethrin.
Right.
And you just use this. You spray a couple full outfits, spray your boots, pants, a couple shirts that you're going to wear. It's good for 6 weeks and 6 washings on your clothes. We've been using this basically to prevent chiggers, because chiggers are just so terrible to get.
Right.
But
and they're like immediately annoying.
Right.
They just really itch, and to be honest, in most years, I get chiggers really bad, and Sarah gets way more tick bites than I do. Mm-hmm. So it's rare for me to get ticks even on me. Except I did have one that it was on my side, and I could tell when I took it off that it had been on there for quite a while. And from what I've read now, for the ticks, it was a Lone Star tick, and that they only take about 12 to 18 hours to transmit ehrlichiosis if they have it. So I'm sure that's the one that got me. It's been about 2 weeks since that tick was on me, and it's still inflamed here on my side. Mm-hmm. So that probably should have been a red flag to me as well, that could be what was going on. And mm-hmm. Ideally, I would have gotten into the doctor sooner if I hadn't kind of misdiagnosed myself, thinking it was just arthritis. I probably should have gotten into the doctor sooner, because it was about 5 days that I waited to go to the doctor, mm-hmm. and would have been nice to get some treatment a little sooner.
Well, a lot of times tick bites will cause some kind of rash or something, and you always hear about like the bullseye rash around a tick bite for Lyme disease. Actually, it's more uncommon to get a rash than common. I think only like 10% of all the cases will actually develop a rash. So that was another thing that, we didn't see a rash, so we didn't really think it was the tick bite.
Right.
But really, our focus, like I had said, has been on chiggers. And even though the spray is good for ticks and chiggers, we've been just kind of waiting for the heat of the summer to come, because that's when the chiggers come out. So
right. Normally I get chiggers really bad when we go blackberry picking, which mm-hmm. is normally around the 4th of July. Mm-hmm. And prior to that, we just don't worry about it too much.
Right. And so basically our negligence for not spraying our clothes early enough in the season is what has gotten us here. And
right. And just not being super thorough on doing tick checks.
Right. True.
So I guess part of the reason I wanted to do this video today is first of all, just ask for your prayers that I recover fully from this.
Right.
There should be no reason why I don't with the antibiotics. But I do need to be on antibiotics for 2 full weeks, and I'm only on day 2 right now. So I'm happy with the way that it's helping already. I know it's going to get better as time goes on. But we also wanted to just kind of give a cautionary warning to you guys that, ticks are, this was by far the most painful thing I've ever had. I felt like my whole body was pain. I could barely close my hands, just everything. Parts of my body, I was trying to tell Sarah, I said, parts of your body that you didn't even really realize had feeling, like the skin around my belly button hurt. And at one point, Sarah just barely put her hand on my back, and it felt like, like being stabbed. It was just unbelievable. And it was just that infection running through my body. But I'm still super tired. I'm going to actually go in and take another nap after we do this, which again is not something I enjoy doing, but I know that I need to do, and I know I need to recover because this is a busy time of year for us.
There are definitely other ways that you can prevent getting tick bites and ticks crawling on you. I think the most common that people know about is to wear long pants and to put your socks up over the bottoms of your pants. Wear long sleeves, tuck your shirt into your pants so that the ticks can't kind of crawl up your waistband, and in that way,
Right.
a lot of people will use like deep woods off. It has DEET in it to spray their pants and their their legs or whatever.
Right.
One of the old timers that we came across several years ago said that they used to put sulfur powder in a sock and would use that, like dust it on their legs and their ankles and their boots and everything, all up their pants. We have done that in the past
Right. I used
as well.
to do that when we first moved here. I did that all the time. In fact, I would just keep a sock with sulfur powder hanging next to the door, and every time I would go out, you basically just take the sock and you beat it against the sides of your pants and on your boots, and that sulfur smell keeps them away.
Yeah.
In fact, that guy told me that when they were kids, when matches used to just be mostly sulfur, I guess, they would actually, in the spring, they would eat matches, the heads off the matches, to get sulfur into their system. Now, I'm not saying to do that, because I don't even think matches are really all that, have that much sulfur anymore, but that's what he told me they did, and then that would prevent them from getting ticks and chiggers all summer long. Probably also made you smell great, I would imagine.
Well, the first thing I want to say about that is you can buy sulfur blocks for your cattle, like sulfur salt blocks, so that they lick it, and they say that that'll keep some of the bugs off of them and the flies. So there might be something to eating sulfur, although you guys, we aren't recommending it because we don't really know. But the other thing I wanted to say about that is the reason why I kind of wanted to get away from the sulfur is that smell and the powder kind of stuck in the clothes, and then when I would do laundry, it wouldn't ever really come out, and so like all your laundry ended up smelling like sulfur, which is really not a very great thing to smell like.
Right.
And with our lifestyle being so active and we're always outside and that kind of thing, that's why we kind of moved toward the Sawyer spray, because we can do like all of our outside work pants with it and all of our boots and stuff like that.
And even though it's a chemical, you don't spray it on your skin.
Right.
You just spray it on the outside of your clothes.
Right.
So I feel pretty good about that. We're not normally big advocates of spraying, basically poison on your skin. But with the Sawyer spray, it's just on the outside of your clothes. So I feel okay about that.
Yeah. So you guys, this is your friendly warning. Don't get cocky when you're out there working outside. If you have any ticks in your area at all, it's very prevalent here. It's not prevalent everywhere, but there are ticks almost everywhere. So be careful and protect yourselves.
Right. All right, you guys, that's it for today's video. Sorry to be kind of a bummer. Hopefully I'll be feeling better by next week, and we'll be back with regular videos.
I did shoot a video for Saturday, so you guys can look forward to that.
Right.
And then hopefully by Monday, when we normally do our filming, Kevin will be all better, or at least mostly better, and our schedule will be back to normal.
Right. So thank you guys. Thanks for the prayers for my mom and dad, and if you have some extra time, I wouldn't mind a prayer or two as well. Hopefully everything will turn out just fine.
You guys, thank you so much for stopping by the homestead. If you're enjoying our channel, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, and also remember that the best way you can help us here, this week, is to just pray for us, you guys. We'd appreciate it. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by the homestead. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.